Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Let's Get After It. Today we're going to be talking about gears. This is something that I hear a lot about on Facebook forums, Facebook groups, we get phone calls. This is a very, very popular topic. It's also a topic that has a really, really wide range of opinions. And I say opinions because a lot of the stuff I see online is just that. It's not fact. So we want to make sure you got the facts. We want to make sure you got some information to arm yourselves with. To make sure that you're doing the right things and that you've got the right information to go about it the right way. So, let's talk about, I get a lot of questions of, do I need to regear? I'm going to 35s, I'm going to 37s, I'm going to 38s, 40s, whatever tire size. And the short answer is yes. Yes, you need to regear. It's really simple. The transmission that you have, the transfer case that you have, the axle that you have, everything is designed around what you had when you bought it from the factory. It is designed to maintain a certain gear at a certain speed, at a certain RPM, with a certain rotation speed of the tire, and that's just what it is. That has an effect on fuel efficiency. It has an effect on low end pickup torque. It has an effect on transmission shifting. Does it hunt? Do you feel it shifting a lot more than it normally would if it was on factory tire size? So all of these things are things that change when you change tire size. And simply going into the PCM or the gym module or whatever and changing that does nothing. I've seen that online a lot. I've seen, I went in and programmed for my 37s. Guys, that doesn't do anything other than fix your speedometer. So your odometer is going to thank you. Your miles, 100,000 miles down the road, that's going to thank you because your miles are accurate. But that's really it. It's not going to give you any fuel economy back. It's not going to do anything for your ship point. It's not really going to make any difference. Other than maybe in your head, I don't know. But, mechanically, we need to make some changes when you go. So I'm going to use 37s a lot. You're going to use 37s a lot for this video because that's a very, very popular tire size. That's probably the median of what most off-road shops are going to see. 35s, anywhere from 35s to 40s is mostly what we're going to see, with outliers. Obviously we got some people upgrading to 31s, from 31s to a 33, or we got guys going 42s, 43s, whatever. But for the purposes here that we're going to talk about, I'm just going to talk about 37. So, and that's different depending on what kind of vehicle you have. If you have a 2012 Wrangler and you threw 37s on it and you have an automatic transmission with a 6-cylinder, that's going to be a different ratio than if you bring me a 2020 Gladiator with a 3.6 and an automatic. I mean, that's a different transmission. There's even a little bit difference in the motor. There might be a different transfer case gear ratio between a Rubicon or a Sport. All of these things play into what the right gear ratio is, and there's really not one that can say, oh, I've got 37s, well, what should I go to? There is no such thing as one gear ratio that's going to cover everything. So a lot of questions that we want to ask when we start talking about gear ratio. What do you have? Is it a 2012 Jeep Wrangler 2-door, or is it a 2021 Wrangler 392? Those are things that we need to know. Engine size. A 2.0 turbo can get away with a little bit different gearing than a 2014 JK with a 3.6 and a manual. These things matter. What engine, what transmission, sometimes even the transfer case. A newer Jeep may have a 4-to-1 transfer case in a Rubicon, whereas the Sport's going to have a 2.7 2-to-1. These things make a difference. Not a huge difference, and it may not make a difference for you. But they do make a difference when we go in and we're calculating to ourselves, hey, what gear ratio should this customer run? So simply gear ratio, when we talk about it, all that really is it's the end of an equation. 488, 5.13, 4.56. That is the relationship of the number of times that a drive shaft spins relative to the number of times that a axle shaft spins, in the rear axle and the front axle too. If one's spinning at 4.56 times to one spin of the ring gear. So that's the gear ratio. And obviously the higher that gear ratio goes, you think about it like a bike. The higher you shift up, the easier it gets to pedal. So that's kind of the same thing if you're thinking about that in your head. So, you don't want to throw, if you throw a super deep gear, a 513 and 538 on something with, 33-inch tires, you're going to gas it to be able to do a wheel stand. You're going to yank that thing, but you're going to go into your highest gear really, really quick, and you're going to be limited. Your top speed's going to be 60 miles an hour. You're never going to be able to get on the highway. And vice versa. If you've got 345 gears on a stock JL Sport, but you're running 37s and maybe you need 513s, your pickup is going to be non-existent. It's just not going to be there. And in the newer ones that have the 8-speed automatic transmissions, you're not going to see a gear anymore. It's just not going to be there until you are at super high speed. You're going to have to be doing 85, 90 miles an hour to really even think about hitting the top speed. And if your transmission even sees a hill, you're downshifting. And in a lot of cases, you're double or triple downshifting. So you'll see a lot of guys that go, oh, well, I took my Rubicon on 410s and I put 37s on it. It was fine. There's really no other way to say that, and that's wrong. It's just wrong. It's not fine. Mechanically, it's not fine. You are doing things with the transmission that it's not designed to do. You are over revving in gears. You are not hitting those gears that you're supposed to get when you're supposed to get them, and staying in them when you're supposed to stay in them. So yeah, it gets a little technical. You can get down into the weeds a little bit on it, but the basic premise is you are overworking the transmission. At its core, you're overworking the transmission. There are other things, yes, but at the very minimum, you're doing things that the transmission is not designed to do. So, and obviously that's a pretty expensive part. That's a pretty key component to any vehicle's powertrain, and we want that happy at all times, if at all possible. We want that thing shifting right, acting right, sounding right, and we just want it right. And gear ratio is going to play a lot into that. Also, when you're towing, like, you need gears. You need gears when you're towing. Even if you buy a vehicle and you don't modify it at all, you buy a Rubicon with 33s, and you're like, man, I'm going to tow a lot. I'm going to tow all the time. Or I got a job where I tow a trailer all the time. Even in a case like that, it may be something where you want to talk about regearing. So it's definitely something, hey, I totally get it. It's not really something you want to deal with on your own and do all that math and everything. But hey, that's why we're here. That's why the profession that we're in exists. It's why professional off-road shops and centers exist. Reach out to your local off-road center. Reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you and figure out what's right for you, the gear ratio that's right for you, to make sure that not only your vehicle's happy and your vehicle powertrain's happy, but that you're happy with your purchase. Vehicles are expensive pieces of equipment, that you're happy with that purchase, and that you're happy with how it drives day to day, so it can give you a lot of good years of service.